It's 8:05, so let's get started. Today's presentation is about data analyst jobs, how to land a data analyst job in 2024. WeCloudData offer two options. The first one is a live bootcamp delivered on Zoom, and it will actually start pretty soon, next Monday, February 26, 2024. We also offer self-paced, mentor-guided, recorded bootcamp, and that can start anytime. Cost-wise, the live bootcamp costs more. I believe it's 5,600 Canadian dollars, but don't quote me. It's always a good idea to talk to our program advisor because they know all the programs and date and time, and also the price and any discount. So if you want to get more accurate price, please talk to our program advisor. Let me just go to the next. So my name is Eric Liu. I'm one of the 4 co-founders of WeCloudData. My own career, I spent 20 years making data work for organizations. If you look at my career path, it's not a straight line, it's zigzag through. And there were times, we all need to reinvent ourselves. So it's the same for me. I change jobs quite often. I also change career several times. And I work in banking for almost 25 years. In 2018, I joined WeCloudData to do something I always loved doing, and that's my passion, working in a data space and specifically helping young people break into data space and build a career in data analytics, data science, data engineering, and AI. We are a private college, so as you can tell, we were very favorably rated by multiple ranking sites, including CIOs, SwitchUp, Career Karma. Several programs were rated really, really high. DA, we also use the name BI, so you can use DA, BI interchangeably. It's the same. And data science, data engineering, and machine learning engineering. I'm going to talk about the difference between the 4 programs. We run this meetup events, Toronto Data Science and Big Data Meetup. It's one of the biggest meetup in North America. We oftentimes have attendees from the US, and sometimes we even get attendees from Europe and South America. Okay, so this is a really important page. So today our focus is data analytics, and the title for the profession is data analyst. I want to talk about this role in comparison to data scientist and data engineer and machine learning engineer. In short, we say DA, DS, DE, and MLE. Okay. As you can tell, all 4 type of roles, have the exact same 11 skills. However, different roles have different focus. If you look at the 5-point skill, and for data analyst, reporting is important, visualization is important, And it's really about using data to support decisions. And we use visualization. It's a special way to tell the story and communicate the business insight back to the business team. So I want you to remember, reporting, data visualization are really, really key to success as a data analyst. If you look at data scientists, it's the same 11 skills with different focus. Um, Many of data scientists come from a math or stats background. So obviously, you can see here statistics and modeling, machine learning modeling are really, really important skills. So back to data scientists. Once again, we focus more on modeling. And I want to talk about machine learning engineer right after data scientist, because if you look at the two rows, some people don't understand the difference. So data scientists develop the model, so it's model development, and machine learning engineer, and they operate the model. So this is operations, and this is development. And some of you probably have heard of DevOps. So you can have data scientists and machine learning engineer in one department, and that department is called DevOps. So development and operations combined. But these two are the different roles and in two different stage. So this is development and this is operations. Okay. And data engineers, and many of them come from CS background, computer science, or software engineering. And I think, as you can imagine, this involves a lot more coding. So if you enjoy coding, and this is the right profession for you. So you can see building data pipeline is probably 70–80% of the work. If you use the analogy of plumbing, let's say data is like the water, flowing through. Then you need the plumbing. So it's really the infrastructure or data pipeline specifically that data engineers focus on. So now you know the difference between data analysts and data scientists, data engineer and machine learning engineer, depending on your background and also depending on your interests and strengths. You may pursue different career paths. There is no, fixed career path for people coming from one background. So I have seen people from business background and they make it, into data engineering or data science and machine learning engineering. I've also seen, people from a STEM background, statistics, technology, engineering, and math background. They do really, really well in the world of, in the space of data analytics and BI. Okay, so once again, there's no fixed format or fixed career path for anyone. I think it's the consideration of your own interests, strengths, and maybe your past experience. So I'm going to the next slide. And most candidates in the market, and they use a piece of paper, the resume, to look for job. And WeCloudData, we always help our students to build a portfolio. It's important to have a personal project portfolio, and in the resume, you make a statement that you're qualified, you're capable, but it's a lot of convincing. And if you want to get the interview opportunity, a lot of the times, if you have a good portfolio, I think that will really help you get more interviews. So you use the resume to make a statement, and then you use the portfolio as a proof to demonstrate that you can really do the job, and you will be successful on the job in the role. If you have questions about how to build a DA portfolio, and we can talk one-on-one, and I can also show you maybe some of the portfolios built by our past students. And we can come back here and to look at some specifics, some of the sections on the resume if we have time. Okay, so this is what I call the imposter syndrome. Let's just take a quick look of this one writing block. This is a very typical roles and responsibilities in the world of CRM, customer relationship management, and specifically digital marketing, and specifically email campaign, okay? And if you look at the 6 bullets, the first one says to work with marketers and engineers to design and execute email campaigns, generate leads, and drive sales. So this is like one line explaining the job. Then you're involved in the end-to-end process, all the way from list generation to campaign execution to performance measurement. And at the beginning, you need to generate a targeted email list based on business rules, do not call list, and Canadian anti-spam legislation regulations. If you're based in the US or other countries, I'm pretty sure you have similar laws and regulations you will need to follow. Then the second step, segment the email list based on different characteristics, could be demographic, behavior, and preference. So then you can deliver or offer personalized content to different segments. Then we use a random seed to divide the email list into control and test groups. And then you can apply different strategies, strategy A versus strategy B. They are different in creatives. So including subject, body, call to action. We're talking about email campaigns. So these are really important things in an email: subject, body, and call to action. So the purpose of the test is to determine what works and what doesn't. And finally, the performance measurement. We define KPIs, including open rate, click rate, conversion rate, to measure the email campaign performance and improve return on investment and reduce the cost of acquisition. So some of you probably understand this, role better than other people because you have done it. But most of the people, including new graduates or career switchers, if you are not familiar with the work, and then you probably have some challenge understanding the roles and the responsibility. So this is what I call the imposter syndrome. And it's easy to copy paste. I mean, put this on your resume and you will improve the chance of getting an interview. But the hard part is to pass the interview, right? So you go there and the employer have expectations. So this is the psychology. I know this kind of experience can get me an interview, but I have never done the work. And I feel like a fraud and I'm scared of being caught, right? So to overcome the imposter syndrome, and the best way is to put you to the work, to do the actual real work. So I'm going to show you just a simple way to look at the hierarchy of work. And this is the same in any organization, in any organization. If you look at the organization with a bird's view, if you take a top-down perspective, from all the way from CEO to, VPs to directors, managers to employees, you will see the hierarchy of the work from high-level strategy to mid-level tactics to low-level task, right? And all the way to the ground floor, the employees doing day-to-day work and perform the detailed level task. And your job as a data analyst is to support people at all levels. You need to support the business teams and to help them use data to answer questions and solve problems and support decisions and create value for the customers and the business. So I'm going to give you an example. Use data to answer questions. The typical three questions for any analytic project is number one, what happened? And number two, why did it happen? And number three, then what can we do about it? To give you an example, we already finished year 2023, right? So the question could be, what happened to year 2023 in terms of sales performance? At the highest level, CEO probably care about one big number, sales. Are we on target? Did we or did we not achieve the goal, right? The answer could be, yes, we achieved the goal, but or no, we didn't. And then very likely the second question is why didn't we achieve the goal? So then we'll go down to the next level, and you can answer this question from different perspectives, or maybe from different angles, different dimensions. If you look at two VPs, and the VP product will look at sales from the product dimension, right? So if you have multiple products, some products perform better than other products. Yeah. So it's very likely product A actually achieved the goal, but product B and C are less than planned. And if that is the case, we need to know why, right? At the same time, if you break sales down into different geographies, the VP sales very likely will look at, in all over Canada, what about the West, Central, and East region? Did we all perform below the target? Or maybe Ontario is doing better than planned, but BC or Quebec is over the plan. I don't know. But it's worthwhile to look at the next level details to answer that question. But we could, drill down to further details. So for instance, below VP product, we have product manager A, product manager B, product manager C. I'm pretty sure, they all have their own unique angles or dimensions. Product manager A care only about his own product or his own portfolio. The same is true if you have three, managers responsible for three different regions. And they are also looking at the sales performance, but, maybe for different geographies. So as a data analyst, you need to support all these needs from the highest level to the lowest level, with data, at different granularity. And you can collect very detailed level data. For instance, the transaction level, with all the dimensions, including product, geography, time, what else? Maybe channels, store. And you use all that information to help, different people answer questions, solve problems, and support their decisions. I think this will, make the roles and responsibility of a data analyst in perspective. So with this, it's much easier for us to simulate the actual work environment and learn the skills in context and produce the professional work samples. And we help you build a project portfolio to showcase the skills, and the skills are all employable skills. And we did all this for one and only purpose, is to help you get interviews and pass interviews. So this simplified example, it's all in SQL, can help you understand the role of email campaign management. And with that, you will feel much, much more comfortable, putting those bullets on the resume. And if you're asked to walk through that project, if you are asked any question related to that project, you will have no problem defending it. Because this is the project you have done, and you have practiced over and over on how to present the project. Actually, you anticipate the questions like those, and you look forward to the questions like those to help you convince the employer that you can do the job. So let me look at the question. How do you build experience for job search when you graduate from the course, since most companies want experienced people? And most companies want experienced people, depending on how you define experience. Some experience are relevant and some experience are irrelevant. And because this is a technical role, and some of the newest technologies, hasn't been around for a long time. So it's okay if you only have several months experience versus several years experience, because it's a new technology, right? So to answer your question, how to build experience, if you don't have the actual work experience, I think a good way to make up for the shortfall is to have some project experience, highly relevant project experience. In fact, if your actual work experience is less relevant, you should put project experience on top of your work experience. So the project experience is clearly defined as highly relevant. And if you have a portfolio to show the employer what the work is involved, and it's very, very convincing. In fact, the project experience can be better than the actual work experience. And this is true for new graduates or career switchers, because you either don't have the experience or your past experience is less relevant. I hope I answered that question. Okay. So this is, let me expand on the previous question. Instead of experience, I like to use the word expertise, because expertise is better than experience. And expertise is the skill acquired from actual practicing, doing it, and regardless of number of years. In fact, the number of years or the length of experience is a bad measure. And it's if it's not relevant, the length of experience doesn't mean anything. And highly relevant expertise from 3 months of bootcamp practicing with laser focus is way better than 3 years of irrelevant experience. So don't feel bad if you don't have, 3 to 5 years experience. And a lot of times the job description, they mention the number of years, it's the maximum requirement. So if you don't have, 3 years of experience, but if you meet 40% of the qualifications, I encourage you to still apply. Um, it's very likely the employer cannot find the perfect candidate. And if you can showcase, if you can demonstrate your skills and your expertise, and I think from the hiring manager's perspective, they are hiring for potential, right? So they hire you because they know you can pick up things real quick, and um, they are hiring not just for today, but also for tomorrow. And the job description very likely cannot describe everything that is required for the role. Okay. So if you can meet 40% of the qualifications, you should still apply. Okay. But for this purpose, because technology changes so quickly, and if you have the right set of expertise, it actually beats the experience. So don't hold yourself back if you don't have 3 to 5 years experience. Otherwise, it's the typical catch-22. You don't have the job. How come, from where you can get experience, right? You have to start somewhere. All right. Speaking of data analysts, you could have different titles. In fact, if you look at all these keywords, these are different departments and teams, the name of the functions: marketing, sales, product, operations, finance, risk management, human resources. And you can attach an analyst to a row to every function. So marketing analyst, if you Google it, and it is DA. It's just another way to describe the DA serving the marketing team. And we also have sales analysts and product analysts. Once again, these are, just different angles and different dimensions. So you use data to help business make decisions, but specifically for that dimension, right? Operations analyst, financial analyst, risk analyst, people analyst. And if you move to different industries, so CRM is what we usually call the front office. It's customer facing. So typically marketing, sales, operations are part of CRM, customer relationship management, marketing, sales, service, right? Are part of CRM. So you could have a CRM analyst. And in the retail industry, and you have retail analysts. If you work for telecom, so you have telecom analysts. If you work for airline, you have airline analysts. And you could have pricing analysts. So every single industry, they hire analysts because they all need to answer the 3 questions: what happened and why, and what can we do about it. So the demand is big because I forgot to mention one thing. Let me just go back real quick over here. Here. So as I said before, sometimes we use BI instead of DA, and we use AI instead of data science. To make a distinction between BI and AI. So BI is looking into the past, and AI is looking into the future. So BI and AI, they go hand in hand. And BI is hindsight, you know, the insight you develop after the fact. And AI is foresight, you know, the insight you develop, the prediction you make before it even happened, right? But a lot of times, AI is actually based on BI. You always need a good foundational BI to build AI. So don't take this career path as linear. Sometimes after you work as a DA for a couple of years, if you want to become more specialized, you can, continue on and become a DS, data scientist. Okay, so the relationship between BI versus AI. Okay, let's come back here. So BI professionals are fast trackers. Once again, you could have different titles. So you could start as a BI analyst and then become BI consultant and BI developer, BI engineer, and BI manager and BI director. And analysts and consultants are more on the business side, and developer and engineer are more on the technical side. And nowadays, if you have the word engineer in your title, probably you will make more, right, than you do as an analyst. But once again, the process actually covers end to end, all the way from business to data and back to business, right? The reason I say this is a fast track for career development and personal growth is because business intelligence is highly visible work. So if your work is visible, then chances are you're visible. And you can use your work to connect to people with power and with opportunities. And if you pay attention, you would notice every senior leader, every VP, every director probably have a go-to person, someone who understand the business and someone can use data to support the business. And someone can also create powerful visuals to help the boss communicate with the bigger boss, maybe, or with the clients, right? So people naturally will ask, who produced this report and who developed this dashboard? And it's great work. And so that way, your name will be heard and you will probably go on a fast track to become a senior analyst or maybe a manager or senior manager real quick, only because your work is highly visible. Once again, if you have any questions, please type your question in the chat and I can answer it. So the bootcamp, and we also offer real-time project and career services, and we can provide a guarantee, but that comes with a price tag. The lowest price point is for self-paced bootcamp. And I think I said before, it's 3,000 Canadian dollars. In the US, I believe it's 3,000 US. But the best you can do is still check with the program advisor. For people who have self-discipline and who can, organize yourself. And if your schedule is not easy to coordinate, this is actually better for you because you can follow your own pace. Whenever you have time, you can just log in and watch the videos. But this comes with very strong TA support. That means if you have any questions, you can ask the questions on Slack channel, and our TA will answer your question right away. And if it's something that cannot be answered online, you can always schedule a one-on-one session with TA to ask a bunch of questions, and the TA will unblock you so you can move forward. And we train you on 5 data tools, including Excel, SQL, Python, Tableau, and Power BI. And after that, you have the opportunity to work on 8 industry-grade projects. And when I say industry-grade, they're not toy projects. They are heavy-duty industry-grade projects. And I can tell you the data is massive. Sometimes you have 5 gigabytes data, and some tables have 10, 15 million rows. So it's big and it's messy. But we designed the project that way so you can experience what it's like, to work in a real work environment. The 8 project represent, different industries and different functions, and you use them to build a portfolio. And you can choose maybe 3 plus 3 projects to highlight on the resume, and 3 more, you can mention them just so the employer can see the scope of your work. So that way, your resume will become a lot more competitive. And the whole bootcamp is to help you become more competitive. So you can pass the coding test, you can pass the case interview. Guess what? If you have done 8 industry-grade projects, if the employer give you a simple project, and you can definitely finish in a day or 2 days, right? And for coding tests, we organize repetitive, coding workshops, and we grant you with LeetCode, and it's like peer programming. The instructor will code and will also watch you code, and eventually you'll become a really good coder. So this, comes with the price of 3,000. But if you prefer to study with a buddy system and go to the class at the set time every day, then I encourage you to register for the live bootcamp. But we do have a start and end time for the live bootcamp. And the immediate next cohort will start February 26th, okay? But for self-paced, it's much more flexible. You can start anytime. But then on top of this, if you are a fresh new grad and you want to gain more experience, then you can participate in the real client project. So we have another company. It's fully owned by WeCloudData. It's called Beam Data. And we engage real clients from Canada and US, and some large organizations, and we also have startups. But this project are real project. And if you put them on the resume, for sure, it will help you get more interviews. And career service is really the differentiator. We pay the successful alumni, the industry experts, to come back and help the next generation of students to find jobs. So the mentor and the mentees are matched one-on-one based on your target industry and role. And the mentor will help you with the resume, with the interview scripting and interview practice, and mock interview. And we'll also share their connections and resources to help you get more interview. And every time you receive an interview invitation, the mentor will help you to design that conversation and to help you deliver your best performance in order to pass that interview. And obviously, this comes with a price too. So you can pick and choose, the combos or maybe just the single bootcamp. If you have your own unique circumstances, talk to us so we can customize the program just for you. All right. So this is another good slide. Once again, as I said before, the purpose of this program is to help you find a job. Nothing else. This is the one and only purpose. The best way to do that is by simulation, right? And I like to say you don't need to learn everything, and it's impossible to learn everything. You only need to learn enough to get a job. So we simulate your role and we show you what you're supposed to do, how to perform the task in the context of function, process, and business and industry. I'm going to explain this in a bit. And we help you learn how to communicate up and down and across the organization to get the job done. So if you recall any organizational chart, it's vertical, right? You have a boss and you belong to a function or department. So let's say this is you, right? And you have a boss and your boss has a boss. It's all vertical. But if you look at how things get done, it's usually horizontal. It's like this. And chances are, somebody else's work will affect your work and your work will affect some other people's work. And it's always it always takes a process to deliver, the value to the customer. So for instance, your internal customer is the business team. You help the business team to answer questions, solve problems, and support decisions. And you use data to do that. But where is the data coming from? The data usually comes from IT, right? So if you look at different systems, and every single system has a database in the backend, and that is your data source. IT generates data, but they don't use data, and the business uses data, but they don't know how, right? So you're in the middle. So IT is your supplier, and the business is your customer. The business is in front of you, and the IT is behind you. So in this case, you will need to work with people in other teams, other departments, and you have an upstream and you have a downstream, right? You somehow have to manage other people to make sure they deliver the data, the raw data to you on time so you can deliver your report to the business team. You got it? So yes, to define your role, it's not enough just to understand what you do. It's important to understand this whole process, this horizontal process. And it's also important to understand this function because sometimes you need the support from your boss to allocate more resources to get more support, right? So the intersection of this function and this process that defines the role. And to perform your role, you always need input, which is the raw data, and then you produce the output, and which could be report, could be dashboard, and could be a BI service, right? So to really understand the role, you need to understand all these function, process, input, output, even the business, how to make money in this business, right? And how to measure the success of the business. And then you can come up with a list of KPIs. And then to support different business teams, you will need to understand their perspective and their dimensions and angles. So it's a bunch of KPIs and it's a bunch of dimensions. And you will study, the habits of different teams and how they make decisions, how they read reports, and then you will need to design maybe different dashboards for different departments. Okay. Okay. Do we have questions? Okay, thank you, Adam, for answering some of the questions. How should I reach out to you to gain career advice? Okay. So this program is divided into two parts, and the bootcamp help you learn the skills and build the project. And then career service is one-on-one. That is designed to help you get interview and pass interviews. Okay. The next one. So this is the bootcamp. Sorry, sometimes I say DA, sometimes I say BI. But I want you to know that the DA and the BI are oftentimes used interchangeably. So at the core, you need to learn 5 tools: Excel, SQL. Wait a minute. This is Excel, this is Python, this is SQL, this is Tableau, this is Power BI. So Excel is still important, but we'll teach you the advanced features of using Excel. And SQL is the best tool to organize internal data. And Python is extremely powerful if you want to leverage external data, right? And Tableau and Power BI are 2 different visualization tools, and different companies, they have different technology stack. And you don't need to choose between Tableau and Power BI, and we encourage you to learn both. However, if you are quite familiar with one visualization tool, it becomes much easier for you to pick up the other. In fact, underlying the visualization tool, the SQL foundation is extremely important. SQL is not just programming. SQL is the name of the database, and it is also the name of the programming language to communicate with that database. So if you take the time to understand how we organize data into a database, which is essentially a collection of related tables. And if you understand the data structure, it will be much easier for you to learn how to manipulate that data structure to solve a problem. So these tools are all connected. And after you learn the data fundamentals, and we will put you to work to solve. So I only put 5 for illustration purpose. You will actually do 8 projects, okay, in different industry and in different domain. So that way you will learn the skills and you will accumulate the project experience. And these skills and experience you can put on a resume, and that will get you interviews, right? Okay. So I like to break down the process into BA, DA, and BI. So after this, you will understand why sometimes we say DA, sometimes we say BI, sometimes we say BA, because these are the 3 steps of the same process. So the process always starts with business analysis. We have to understand, how to make money in a business. What are the processes? What are the key decisions we make? What is the goal and objectives? And the hierarchy of work all the way from strategy down to tactics, down to operations. And the most important thing is for you to get the big picture. And I know if you come from a strong technical background, you may think this is easier, or you may think you're at a advantage. Or if you're coming from business or maybe humanity or economics background, you may think you're at a disadvantage. And that is not true. That is not true. Oftentimes, people coming from a STEM background, they don't really have the big picture. But here, the big picture is important. It gives you a sense of purpose, and you know what is more important and what is less important, and you never lose sight of what's important. And we have cases, if you ask someone who is technically strong to do a project, they don't know where to start. So that is actually their weakness, to really understand the business, to gain a good sense of purpose. But people coming from FAB, like finance, accounting, business, economics background, they don't have that problem. They always know about the big picture. However, after we move to the next step, wait a minute. This is business analysis. Somehow I skipped the data analysis. I'm not sure why. Oh, here, data analysis right here. So this is technical, I admit. So this is technical. As you can see, we need to pre-process the data, and we need to do EDA, exploratory data analysis, and then you generate some summary statistic, and everything sounds technical. And throughout this process, you realize the data are messy, data are hairy, and they have all kinds of problems. And then you need to treat the data issues. And after that, you need to perform the ETL, extract, transform, and know. And then you need to put data into different tables and then build relationships between the tables. Essentially, you are creating a data model with the dimension tables and fact tables. And you connect the dimension table to fact table using primary and foreign key. So this sounds quite technical. And people from the STEM background, and oftentimes these things are easier for them. But if you're coming from a finance, accounting, business background, you will need to work harder on this part. But this is not the end of your process. If you give people anything coming out of this step, the business team wouldn't know what to do with them. So the next step is called business intelligence. You're visualizing the KPIs by dimensions, and you want to show people the trends and patterns and the relationships and the drivers behind it. So this is what happened and this is why, right? And you will need to explain and your findings and conclusions and recommendations. So you will need to write up the business recommendations. And once again, people coming from the business background, you're often better at this, and you're a good communicator, and you know how to communicate to the non-technical audience, the business team. And so oftentimes you will need to use the term like revenue growth, cost reduction, efficiency gain, quality improvement. It's one of these. And people from the STEM background, oftentimes they are weak. This is their weakness. They don't know how to do this. So I hope after this, after the comparison, you realize nobody is perfect. No one is perfect. Everybody, has their own set of strengths and weaknesses. And all you need to do is to work harder on your weakness and overcome the obstacle. So you become the well-rounded BA, BA/DA/BI. Having said that, if you're good at all three, you can actually make really good money. So I have seen over and over again, data analysts or business intelligence analysts or consultant, they make income that's comparable to data scientists and data engineer, sometimes even more, even more. So we have graduates making six figures, right after school. They graduate with a bachelor's degree and then they join our program. And after that, they find their first job that pays six-figure, 100,000. Any questions? Oh, so I'm going to play this short video, and I think this is a video. Let me show you. So this is BI, and this is actually the work from our students. Is the capstone project. It's pretty impressive, eh? It's highly, highly visual, and trust me, if you present this work to the employer, they will be like, wow, this is way better work than, our BI team. So this is something I want you to develop, and put on your portfolio. And it's going to help you convince the hiring manager. All right. So career support. We actually have our own platform, and then we use several features to manage the mentorship. So mentorship is essentially one-on-one. The mentor and mentee meet quite often from the beginning to get you ready. So that includes career positioning, what industry or maybe what industries you want to target, what kind of role, the level of the job, junior, intermediate, senior, because this has a lot to do with how to craft your resume that is telling the employer you are the kind of person they look for, right? So career positioning, after that, the mentor will help you write a very powerful resume. And the mentor will not just do it for you. The mentor will need a lot of inputs from you, because when you were doing the bootcamp, the mentor was not there. So they will need you to convert the bootcamp experience into the resume. But it's the mentor's job to help you polish the resume and to sometimes suggest and recommend a better bullet points for you to summarize your experience and skills. So the purpose of that resume is to get you as many interviews as possible. And it's also the mentor's help to share the connections and resources and insider informations so you can get more interviews and you can pass interviews. I like to emphasize one particular interview. It is the technical interview. In the past, it's usually HR interview before technical screening test, but nowadays we see more and more cases. The company actually give you the technical screening test before the HR interview, which makes sense. So sometimes the people who are technically really, really strong, they don't look good on paper, right? So it's a risk for the employer to filter out some really good candidates just because their resume doesn't look impressive. However, technical screening can really help the employer find the diamond in the rough, the gemstones. So if you look at the three things, and first, it's a bad news because each data analyst job attracts nowadays hundreds of resumes. And the first step of the selection process is always a technical test. Almost every company does that. Otherwise, it's very difficult to go through 500 resumes, and there's no way around it. But the good news, I want you to look at this. A survey of the hiring manager shows that only 1 out of 10 candidates, they actually have the courage or the confidence to respond to the technical interview. All our students, we want to make sure they have no problem, passing the employer's technical test. So if you have the courage to take the challenge, to take the test and pass it, you effectively reduce the competition by 90% right away. So this is very important for you to remember. If you're technically strong, just because technical screening test nowadays becomes the first round, and it will really help you reduce the competition. That is indeed a good news, provided that you can pass the technical round. And more good news is WeCloudData over the years, we have collected so many technical tests from the employers. We use those tests to train our students. So it is actually really good for you to take these tests beforehand. Now we will, grind you hard. We will expose your weakness and we will make you work on them. So our coding interview workshop will help you practice with focus and stay sharp. So later on, when you receive a technical test from the employer, you have no problem passing it. Yeah. Any questions? No? Next one. So there are some questions I get asked a lot. So I'm going to go through some of them. First of all, I like you to see the two strategies. And you can go deep and you can go wide. Remember the 4 rows I mentioned at the beginning? DA, DS, DE, and NLE. DA is about going wide. DSD and NLE are about going deep, become more specialized. These are simply 2 different strategies depending on your personality. Some people prefer to stay in the cubicle all day long, right? They don't like emails, they don't like going to meetings, and they just enjoy coding, right? Or maybe developing models. That's totally fine. So you become more specialized by going deep. But if you're not that kind of personality, if you enjoy working horizontally back and forth, if you prefer a balanced, life, spending 50% of the time in your cubicle solving problems, and the other 50% going to technical team to solve data issues, or maybe to meet with the business team to understand the requirements and collect feedback on your reports and dashboards. And probably DA is more suitable for you. And once again, if you can master the 3 steps, BA, DA, and BI, you can make very good money too, right? So some of the frequently asked questions, number one, is data the same as IT? Doing the bootcamp, does it mean I will become a developer and programmer? It is not. Data is not IT. So I want you to know the difference between data programming and application programming. So as a data professional, you you code too. You code as well. You also do programming, but you use SQL and Python to process data. But a real developer or software engineer, and they develop applications and develop system. It's very, very different. So just remember the difference between data programming and application programming. You will understand the difference between data and software, a data professional and a software engineer. All right. The second question, what do I do all day? Just running queries and make reports? This sounds boring, but this is not true. Or at least it's no longer true. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, you know, a data analyst, you you receive all kinds of random questions from managers and directors. So every single time you will need to write a SQL query against the database to answer a question. And sometimes, you know, if this question are recurring and they come to you over and over again, and it's a better idea to produce regular reports. So the business team, they will be able to answer their own questions by reading the report. But nowadays, with new technologies, you know, with tools like Tableau and Power BI, you can actually develop a solution. So dashboard is extremely powerful because it's not like static reports, and dashboard is dynamic and it's interactive. So the dashboard, if you focus on the user experience and study the habit of the business team and people at different levels, you know, how they use data to make decisions, and you will create different dashboards for different audience. And you also publish them, and you need to maintain them. You need to update them, you know, whenever the data updates, whenever the data change. So essentially, you you become a developer and engineer that way, right? So this work is much more advanced and it's much more interesting. As I said before, because you produce powerful dashboards and visuals, and your work will go around and people will look at, you know, the beautiful dashboard and asking who did this. And then everybody will know you by your dashboard, right? So your work is more than just running queries and make reports. And a lot of times, people only answer the first level question, you know, what happened? And if you're good, you can answer the second and the third question, uh, why it happened and what should we do about it, right? So you can write up your findings and you can make recommendations. If you do this, we're going to make more sales and we can cut back on the costs. We can improve productivity. We can automate this, and we can reduce, you know, the defects and improve the quality, and stuff like that. Do I have an advantage in data analytics with a STEM background? I think I mentioned this before. Not necessarily. Maybe coding is more intuitive for people coming from a STEM background. But as I said before, you probably will need to work harder in business analysis and business intelligence. I have seen very technical people when they try to create charts and graphs, it looks very ugly, you know. So they will really need to learn some design principles to really understand the business and their perspective to serve them better, right? So if you are coming from a FADE background, finance, accounting, business, and economics, are you at a disadvantage? Not necessarily. As I said before, you are often better at business analysis and business intelligence, but you will need to work harder on coding, right? Data analysis. So once again, no one is perfect. Everybody has your own unique strengths and weaknesses. So you just need to play up your strengths and then overcome your weakness. All right. I want to show you some of the pitfalls along this process. I call them 3 states of going nowhere. The first one is learning forever without a focus. The second is can't get interviews, and the third is can't pass interviews. And if you're stuck
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get interviews after I send.
And if you're stuck in one of the 3, and then it's very, very painful because you are not making progress, and it's very, very frustrating. And days go by, you're still in the same place. So it's our job. It's the job of the instructors and TAs and the mentors to help you move forward, right? So first of all, let's look at learning forever without a focus. The cure is we only need to learn enough to get a job. We only need to learn enough to perform the role, right? Even Excel, you can spend weeks and months learning Excel, and there is no end because every single tool, there is simply so much to learn. But you don't need to learn everything. It's impossible to learn everything, and it's also unnecessary. The skill-based training is bad only because you don't really have a purpose. The role-based training is good because it's easy to define what to learn, right? You just need to learn the 20% essentials to do this job, to perform this role, to actually reproduce this project. And you know what to choose, you know, what to learn as the situation, the context requires. So I don't encourage you to always learn. No, you just need to learn really quickly within 3 months, and that's enough for you to pass the technical interview and then to explain the job to the employer and convince them to give you this opportunity. The second one, can't get interview. A lot of times, new grads and career switchers, you worry because your past experience, you either don't have the experience or your past experience is less relevant. So the bootcamp help you fix this problem. And we will put highly relevant skills on the resume. And if your past experience is less relevant, we will use the project experience to make you more relevant, right? And the purpose is to get you as many interviews as possible. I forgot to mention, we are growing our alumni network. So over the years, our students became successful alumni, and they build a career. They get promoted, and some of them are in the hiring position, or they're on the hiring team. So if they see good opportunities, and they will pass those opportunities to our new students. So we encourage the students to take advantage of the referrals, but the referrals doesn't come easily. Every student need to be ready, right? Just remember, if the referrer, put their name on the roll, if you perform bad in the interview, it's going to reflect really bad on the people who refer you, right? So we want to make sure we don't waste the referral opportunity. So usually you will have some competition within WeCloudData. So usually we'll handpick, maybe 3 to 5 resumes, and we compress them into a zip, and we send the zip file to the referrer. At least you can get an interview opportunity. So instead of competing with 300 people, you're competing with 3 people. So it's fast track through the back door. And can't pass interviews? Every single interview, even in HR screening for 15 minutes, you get help from the mentor. The mentor will help you predict, what kind of questions you will most likely get asked, and what is the best way to answer that question. So depending on the type of the interview, could be HR interview, could be interview with the hiring manager, or could be a panel interview. Different type of interview, you need different script, right? So the mentor will work with the mentee or the student/mentee on interview scripting. For the HR interview, you may need just 1 page because it's short, 15 minutes. There's no time to tell a story. So the HR, the recruiter asks you straight questions, and you give straight answers, but very confident, loud and clear, right? So every step of the way, the mentor will help you design that conversation, so you will be able to pass the HR, technical, and business interview, technical interview, behavior interview until you land an offer. Any question? So today we don't get that many questions. That's interesting. We usually get a lot of questions. All right, so I'll just give you some examples. When do people click on why? Oh, in fact, it's much better if I share with you, some of the script. Let me do this. One second. So these are just some sample interview question and answer. Wait, I think it's probably better to show you. All right, so very quickly to show you the app we use to manage. Wait, I think I messed up again. I should show you this one. Eric. In fact, let me show you. Let me pretend I am a mentee. So this is our developer. So this is a desktop app we create to help the mentee. So the first feature is a mentorship. So as you can tell, Denise has a mentor Eric Liu. If I click on this, this is essentially a two-people project management tool. And it's important to visualize your progress. So to break down the big undertaking into milestones and tasks. So for instance, this is the first milestone to build a resume. And the version 0.0. And then every task you can assign to the mentor or mentee, right? And there's a start date, there's a duration, and once you finish, you change the status. So we want to break down this big undertaking into milestones and tasks. And the mentor can make sure you work on the right things and also hold you accountable, right? So it's really important for both you and the mentor to feel a sense of progress. So this is a great tool, and you can use this to post comments and to change status. And I think you can also attach files, attach resume. So this is a job tracker, the second feature. And we have a Chrome extension, so you can use it. If you see a job that you like on LinkedIn or Indeed, you just press the button. It's going to parse and paste the actual posting into this job tracker. So over time, you will have maybe hundreds of applications, and you can track them. And the mentor can also see your applications. And sometimes the mentor will detect some issues. So how come you're only applying for junior and junior roles, right? And then the mentor will intervene. The mentor will say, you should apply both intermediate and junior, right? Sometimes even senior roles. And we also found some students disqualified themselves before the employer disqualify you. So this is for you and the mentor collaborate. And if you have any job, move to interviewing, and then the mentor and mentee can write notes over here. And if you can find somebody who can refer you to the job, and you can add a contact. So this is like every opportunity when you open it, it's a drawer, and the mentor mentee can work on this. And we have our own internal job board, and we also have the interview practice. So the mentor can create a mock interview, and then you can go ahead and practice it. Once you feel ready, you can record the interview. There will be a fake interviewer to make you nervous. I think the only way to get better at interviewing is to do more mock interviews to make you feel more comfortable. And at the beginning, we want you to make all kinds of mistakes so the mentor can have an opportunity to point out for you and to help you do better. And sometimes it takes 5 mock interviews for you to really understand and master the conversation. So imagine if you are doing this and your competition is not doing this, there are great chances for you to beat the competition. Okay. So this is our learning portal, and the bootcamp is like this. So we have, different classes going on. We usually have 4 cohorts and 4 batches in a year. I can just open anyone for you to take a look. And wait, chapters. This is not recent. Let me just get you a more recent one. I'll show you this one. Okay, so we do have a pre-camp. Some people have zero coding experience. We want to make sure you're not zero when the bootcamp starts. So we use pre-camp. This is essentially 20-hour training before the bootcamp starts. So this will include SQL. This will include SQL, I think Python, and some Tableau. Right, so this is pre-camp. And then the 5 tools, and then the project, capstone project, supply chain, fintech, every single project over here. After you finish the class, you will be able to watch the video, and you will always have access to the videos. Okay, so I'm going to show you something else. The career workshop. So this also has some good material. Let me share with audio. I need to share with audio. There's a black thing, this thing. Stop sharing. Let me share again with audio. How do I share with audio? Screen 1. Let me share screen 2. Share. I don't know if you can hear. So we created some explainer videos to help you really understand the process. For instance, 1-page resume or 2-page resume. Oh, let me just show you interview. 7 stories to get you hired, how to handle, how to pass maybe a HR interview. Just give me a second. You know what? Maybe this one. With an impossible deadline. Wait. A, ignore the request. B, put off the request. C, call the requester. I'll pick up the phone and call the requester, clarify his requirements, and validate my assumption. Maybe it's not so much work as that. Maybe the work I've already done can meet 80% of his requirements. The worst is to ignore his request or put it off. I mean, it won't go away. At a minimum, I should tell him, I don't have capacity now, so you can get help from someone else. So this kind of explainer videos, I think, will help clear some of the initial hurdles. But after that, the mentor can give you more personalized help to get you out of your own particular situations. Maybe one more. Competing priorities.
I don't remember who said this. Working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. It has made an impression on me and somehow changed my relationship with time. You know, it's the difference between a ticking bomb, which means no control, stress-inducing, and a beating heart, which means control, stress-reducing. I take a proactive approach to my work to avoid the situation where multiple tasks come and due at the same time. For instance, I make a to-do list the night before. It allows me to start the next day feeling calm, focused, and in control. I have learned that a little planning beats a lot of firefighting. It allows me to stay on top of things and adapt to competing priorities.
Just to give you a sense of what's being offered. So the other thing I want to show you probably, so mentorship. We use Slack. So you can see there are a lot of AMS, alumni mentorship support, and then the first name and last name initial. Every single one is a mentor, okay? So we take this seriously. We really want to help every student, build a career or maybe get a better job. Maybe a recent new graduate and find you a first job, right? This is essentially my presentation. I'm not sure if you have any question at all. Let me just give this. Oh, I do have a question from Murdo. Many junior positions even require 2+ years of experience. Senior position 3 to 5 or more. So my question is, what person HR are really looking for? In what case I should send my resume to those job openings without having enough professional experience? Okay, I think I already answered this question, but I'm going to do it again. I want to clear a lot of your confusion and doubt. 2 years or 3 to 5 years, these are maximum requirements. Trust me, they're maximum. I used to be in the hiring position. I tell you, at one point, I created 5 new positions and I wrote the job descriptions. Every department, we have a HRBP, a human resource business partner. It's a recruiter, from HR department. They support everything HR. So I have my HRBP. HR always asked to review the job description. I wrote the job description, but HR provide their feedback. So for instance, they will say, Eric, these verbs are reserved for senior roles, and they're not supposed to be used for junior roles, stuff like that. So they will also impose. So because this is a level 7 manager position, so you have to put 3 to 5, and sometimes even 5 to 7 years. I know as a hiring director or maybe hiring manager, that's not necessary. In fact, if you put the number of years out there, it's going to deter good people like yourself, Murdo, from applying, which is bad. I know some people, some really good candidates, they're capable and they can do the job, but they don't meet this requirement. To me, this requirement is not important, is not essential. I'm not the only hiring manager who think that way. Most hiring managers, they know what they're looking for, and they also know the length of experience. The number of years is a bad measure. It's really, really bad. But sometimes HR they impose the requirement, or we just have to specify the number of years. I know it's doing more damage, it's doing more harm, than good. But in your position, so I ask you, if you feel you meet 40% of the requirements, that length of experience aside, if you meet 40% of the requirements, apply anyways. Apply. So I want you to I want you to apply. Now, once again, if you don't have enough experience, you can always supplement with project experience. If you don't have enough work experience, you can supplement it with project experience. And for instance, you may be a new graduate, you just come out of school, but you have already used SQL for 3 years. That's okay too, right? And for some other tool, even though you use Power BI for only 6 months, but you can rate yourself 9 out of 10 in terms of skill level. So there are different ways to show your competitiveness. Length of experience is a bad measure, right? So I want you to do that. And that's resume. And sometimes they ask you to attach a covering letter. If you send an email, you can put in the body of the email 2 columns. One is your requirements, and the other one is my qualifications. So you don't have to speak to a number of years. You can always speak to, I'm a power user of Excel. I'm an advanced user of Power BI. And most people claim that they know Power BI, but if you ask them, do you know DAX, DAX? And they will ask, what's DAX? And then they don't really know Power BI. But in your case, you can put, I know DAX, and I use DAX Studio. And so you can put a few specific details so people will know you are an advanced, Power BI developer compared to some junior Power BI user. Does that help? I hope. Any other questions? Any other questions? If not, Adam, I think that's the end of my presentation. Um, let me put my email over here just in case. If you have questions you want to ask me by email, please do so. You can also send me your resume for me to critique. Let me also send you my calendar. And you can use this to schedule a one-on-one session with me. It's free consultation. I can use it to look at your own circumstances. If you sent me your resume ahead of time, that would be great because I can know you better. Otherwise, you can send me your LinkedIn profile. You can connect with me LinkedIn. Let me also post my LinkedIn. Yeah. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me questions by email. And if you would like to, hop on Zoom and talk about your career path, how to make the next move, how to find a better job in data space in year 2024, please do so. I haven't talked about AI and the impact on the job market yet, but trust me, AI is not going to take your job, but AI is going to take some of your tasks. Every job is made of hundreds of tasks, but some tasks will be taken by AI. So in our bootcamp, we teach you generative AI. We teach you Copilot, how to leverage AI, how to use AI to automate some repetitive tasks and become more productive and efficient. So AI is a great assistant to serious good analysts. This is something, there's no escape. If you can't beat them, join them. So once again, this is my presentation. I think that's all. I thank you all for your presence. And if you wish to continue the conversation, please contact me.